You could have sold it on a double 13 times so far. Now, that sounds like a lot. HEX is up 8,000x. Guess how much X Bitcoin is up? 6.5 million X from a penny. Mm-hmm. If you try, it's the highest performing asset class that's ever existed in the history of the world.
Yeah.
You are better off figuring this out than doing anything else you're doing in your entire life in regards to money. Because you could make more money with this than anything else you've ever dreamt of in the history of society. Like people talk about the tulip bubble, Bitcoin went higher than that. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing about the tulip bubble. Did it come back? No. How many times did Bitcoin crash 85%? 3 or 4 times?
Multiple times.
Keeps coming back and making new all-time highs. That doesn't sound like any bubble I've heard of. That sounds like a world-changing innovation that just oscillates and keeps landing higher than it previously was. So even if it was the biggest scam in the world, which it's not, so where does the government's money come from? They print it out of thin air. Mm-hmm. Where does Bitcoin come from? They print it out of thin air. Where does HEX come from? Printed out of thin air. Where's your yield come from in Apple stock? Selling it to the next guy. Wait a second. Hold on. They sell phones. Oh, yeah? Let's track that money real quick. You buy an iPhone. Apple company gets the money. Show me how that money gets to the shareholders. There's only 2 ways. Stock buybacks, which requires you to sell your stock, or dividends. And what percentage of those gains people are showing as stocks as dividends? This much. It's all the next guy buying. Yep. So your yield in the stock market is from them printing money and inflation, and that money's got to go somewhere. Your yield in the bank is the same way. Remember how I told you it was some tricks no one's going to tell you about? Here's another trick. When you put your money in the bank, they don't lend it. Everybody thinks they lend it, and that's where the interest comes from. Nope, that's not how it works. When you put your money in the bank, it sits there as a reserve, and then they go get leveraged up and get 10 times that money from the government for free, and they lend that money out. And then they make 10 times as much interest as they would have made lending your little bit of money out. So when you give your money to the bank, it's not an asset, it's a liability to them. They owe it to you. So where does your yield come from?